In recent years, many foreign-invested companies have poured into India, hoping to gain a share of its rapidly growing economy. Unfortunately, many companies ended up facing high fines and defaulted payments, which also led many companies to leave India. But today we are going to discuss an initial case. China invested $1.2 billion to build a large coal-fired power station in India. The project was initially seen as an important achievement of Sino-Indian economic cooperation, but now the coal-fired power station project has encountered challenges and Chinese companies are facing claims of $8 million. So, what exactly happened behind this? If you like our video content, please click to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can receive all our latest video content. Now, let's get into today's topic. As the world's most populous country, India's demand for electricity is growing. Since 2005, electricity consumption in the South Asian country has maintained a rapid average annual growth rate of 7.9%. In comparison, the average annual growth rate of its power generation is 6.7%. It is worth noting that in the 10 years from 2005 to 2015, the annual growth rate of India's installed power capacity reached 8.4%, and the total installed capacity increased to an astonishing 320 kilowatts. Among them, about 60% of India's power facilities are manufactured in China. But for India, a country with a huge population, existing power facilities are far from enough. Even today, India's power infrastructure remains unsatisfactory, leading to frequent large-scale power outages in many cities and industrial areas in the country. In order to improve the current situation of power shortage, the Indian government continues to work hard. One of the important measures is to promote a large number of coal power plant projects in the country. But given the scale and complexity of the power plant project, it is clearly not something that India alone can afford. Among these power plant projects, one called Sazan Power Station Project is particularly eye-catching. This power station has been constructed by a Chinese company. Initially, the Indian government did not intend to hand over this important project to China but planned to solicit project tenders from multiple developed countries. During this process, countries including France, Germany, and Japan have expressed strong interest in the project and submitted contracting applications. However, during the project planning phase, French and German engineers discovered that completing the project would require an investment of at least $2 billion. For the Indian government with a tight budget, such an investment scale is obviously unaffordable. Therefore, India has to turn to China and Japan for more cost-effective solutions. In the subsequent competition process, Japan adopted a low-price competition strategy and compressed India's investment budget to $1.4 billion. In order to win this project, the Chinese company finally put forward a lower bid than Japan and successfully won the bid for the Sazan Power Station with a bid of $1.2 billion. However, what no one expected was that after the project was completed and put into use, the Indian government owed the Chinese company hundreds of millions of dollars in project payments, and further made a claim of up to $8 million to China. What happened behind this? In fact, China's Shanghai Electric Group undertook the construction task of India's Sazan Power Station. This power station is located in Andhra Pradesh, India. The entire project has a total installed capacity of 3,960 megawatts and consists of 6 units, each with an installed capacity of 660 megawatts. When operating normally, it can provide India with more than 24 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity every year, which accounts for almost 2% of India's total electricity consumption. But what is little known is that during the construction of the Sazan Power Station, China did not receive investment remuneration from India. Instead, it paid more than $1.2 billion in construction costs out of its own pocket to ensure that the project could be advanced quickly. After nearly 5 years of hard work, this ultra-large coal-fired power station was successfully delivered to India in 2019 and began commercial operation. After the project was put into operation, the Chinese company began to pursue the remuneration stipulated in the contract signed with the Indian company Sino-Indian. On the issue of the balance that has not yet been received, they initiated arbitration and won the arbitration. The case has now entered the execution stage. However, until now, the remuneration received by Chinese companies is still less than 90% of the contract stipulations. Therefore, Shanghai Electric Group took legal action and won the arbitration. However, Sino-Indian Power Station insists that the contract was signed with Reliance UK, so the Chinese company should demand payment from Reliance UK. But when the Chinese company tried to have a dialogue with Reliance UK, the latter claimed that it was only the guarantor of the project and that the actual contractor was the Indian company Sino-Indian, so there was no need to pay the Chinese company. Obviously, all parties have different opinions, which has caused dissatisfaction among Chinese companies. As a result, the Chinese company sued Reliance UK in a Singapore court, demanding that it pay the full $1.2 billion in accordance with the contract and seize some of the power equipment of the Sino-Indian power station. What is even more surprising is that in 2021, Reliance UK filed a claim of approximately $8 million against Shanghai Electric Group. They claimed that the Chinese company used substandard equipment and violated the terms of the contract, causing operational losses at Sino-Indian Power Station, and demanded that China pay approximately $8 million in compensation. China certainly cannot accept these groundless accusations. The two sides argued for a long time in court. Fortunately, the court in Mumbai, India, ruled in favor of Chinese companies in 2022 and dismissed the Indian company Reliance UK's lawsuit against Shanghai Electric. This incident was not only a failure of business cooperation but also exposed deep-seated problems in the Indian business environment. India's integrity has long been questioned internationally. For example, India once fined Xiaomi India up to 500 million yuan and froze the company's assets of 4.8 billion yuan on the grounds that it violated the Foreign Exchange Management Act. There are countless such cases, causing more and more foreign companies to be cautious about developing in India. According to statistics, in the past 7 years, approximately 2,783 foreign companies have left India, accounting for 23% of the total number of local foreign companies. The Indian government should take reasonable measures in this regard, otherwise its development environment may not be optimistic.